Okay. Patch 4.1s. What up, Puff? Patch 4.1. This is going to be the start of the new beta season. So with all the gauntlet, tournament stuff, all that kind of things going on, this is a pretty big one because I did not like the last meta. That's for sure. So excited to see what changes. Maybe we'll get some Ionia buffs. Maybe we won't, and I'll cry. Let's find out. First one. Allowie gets buffed from 1 power to 2 power. Allowie's play rate has sunk faster than Gangplank's ship after a run-in with Misfortune. We're hoping that a few targeted changes to her stats can turn the tides. All right, so she just gets like 1 power, but the real buff to Allowie, I did see this one all over Twitter. So spoiler alert, Quietus is nerfed and will no longer be able to kill Allowie. That is the real Allowie buff, not this one. Is this good? Sure, that's nice, I guess, right? But this is the least. There's like 3 buffs to Allowie. One of them is a nerf to Quietus, one of them is Allowie's buff, and one of them is another card that's coming up. And this is the least impactful of all of them. Sure, that's kind of cool for Allowie players, I guess, but not that big of a deal. Nagaboros. The card effect will now activate on summon as well as round start. This should have come with the card, honestly. This really should have happened immediately because this card was horridly bad. It was so bad. Draw card nerf. True. This card is probably still poopy, but it's much better. We'll see. People will be able to like splash 1 copy and it won't be that bad or whatever. This is pretty big. Tentacle Smash going from 4 cost down to 3 cost. They nerfed it to spawn 2 a long time ago, and now it's a 3 cost spawn 2, which is good. I think is good. It's not going to be as good in a non-dedicated like tentacle deck, right? So decks that don't have a bunch of spawn, even like maybe 6 copies of spawn cards, maybe 9 copies of spawn cards would make Tentacle Smash like pretty good. But without it, like you're probably not just going to run this in your Bilgewater deck like we used to with every deck, right? Like Nami used to run it and all that stuff. That's probably not the case anymore. And it hasn't been since it got nerfed from the damage, but now it's like, yeah, you know, 2 damage is not great for 3 mana. Jax, level 2. He now gets Overwhelm. This was, yeah, probably a needed change. There was a lot of spots where my opponent would play like Jax and he'd level, and then I'd just Quietus his weapon, and he just wouldn't do anything. You just chump him out for the rest of the game, and you're like, yeah. But now he's kind of spooky, especially because of some stuff that's going to happen in a second. But this is scary. Jax gets big, like really fast. Really fast. And now that he keeps Overwhelm, like a lot of the time they mention it here, what would happen is you would have like the Scout improvised weapon, or you know, like Fearsome or something like that, and you wouldn't get Overwhelm on it, so you just couldn't use it. You'd have to keep the Light of Acathia on him. But now you can switch it out, and he'll still have Overwhelm, which is a really big deal. Because the card sucked. It wasn't very flexible. It was like kind of good when it went off, but if your opponent could interact, it just wasn't great. Now it's a lot better. It gives you a lot more flexibility with what you want to do with the weapons, which is really important. Roar of Acathia is now a weapon master. You can play it in Jax decks. And maybe you should. In like Jax vein, you should probably play like 1 copy of War of Acathia. I don't know about other Jax decks, and to be honest, I haven't seen very many. Maybe you don't play Roar of Acathia. I play controlling decks, so usually my Jax opponents end up with like 7 improvised weapons in hand. So maybe you don't need it, but it is nice that he gets this card. This though is big one. Fish Fight is a insane card. It's bonkers. It's so good. And now Jax should play it. Yeah, I would have thought this was like in contention for possibly getting a nerf maybe at some point. And now Jax can play it instead, which is cool. That's good. It's not technically a buff, right? Like to anything but Jax. It doesn't make Fish Fight better in any other decks, but now you can play it in Jax decks, which, to be honest, you should be able to play in Jax decks. This now means that you can play Jax in regions that aren't Demacia, and he's not dog shit. Because that's kind of what would happen. You would just need to have Demacia, because you'd need Vayne and you would need Fish Fight. Now you don't have to run Vayne. You can still, and it's probably still pretty good, but you don't have to anymore, because you can still run Fish Fight no matter what. There's also Ornn, who has more health and power. So that's cool, I guess. I don't have anything else to say about that one. Ornn's stats are not what was keeping him down. So yeah, Bjerg does draw Ornn, which is cool, but Ornn's stats are not his problem. We've learned that buffing Freljord's stats does not make their cards much better. Weaponsmith Apprentice is now a 1/2 instead of a 1/1. This is a large buff. 1/1s suck. They die to everything. 1/2s die to less things. Still a lot of things, but less. If you want to play a Jax Freljord deck, you could play this, and it'd probably be pretty good. Ornn levels himself now if he equips basically any weapon. That's true. That's true. Don't think I realize how broken Jax Ornn is going to be. You're right. I don't realize how broken Jax Ornn is going to be. But I bet I'll learn real quick. And then I'll be like, damn. This shit sucks. Because I don't like this card very much. This card's really, really, really good. And yeah, you do get to Fish Fight, or you get to Ornn Fish Fight level and then attack, which is pretty nuts. Like, if you haven't been attacked by a leveled Ornn, it's fucked up. Yeah, it's kind of not okay. He does like a lot of damage. The problem is, like, it's really hard to level him, and at 7, he gets easily bounced or killed or something like that. So we will see. I think Jax will do a lot of heavy lifting if there is a Jax Ornn deck, and then Ornn will be just kind of like the top end. Oops, I kill you. And that will be pretty strong. Favorite Artisan goes from 1/4 to a 2/3. This is a buff. When I'm summoned, create Time and Dedication in hand. That's cool. I don't want to play it. It's also Freljord. I don't really like Freljord cards very much. Hearthblood Mender, instead of being a 5/5, is now a 4/5. That forges an ally twice and heals it and your Nexus 3. So it used to just forge an ally, but it was a 5/5. So now it forges twice and is a 4/5. This is much better. Like, much better. You could spread out the stats a bunch, and yeah, do I want to play it? Not really. Freljord mid-rangey card, really not my thing. But yeah. As Fish Fight level Ornn, he didn't have forges on his equipment before coming down. Doesn't he forge? He copies it in equipment and then forges it twice, right? Isn't that what he does? Oh, on attack, forge twice. Equip me with an exact copy of an ally's equipment or the strongest equipment from hand. Okay, I mean, well, if you're running like Jax Ornn, you're running like Weaponsmith Apprentice and stuff like that, so it'll be pretty easy to get you up to stats. You pick a 2/1 weapon or a 2-power weapon with this, and then bang, you could run Bone Club, like Alan says. Yeah. Let's get to what's really important here. The Rise buff. The Rise buff. So this buff is weird. It's a weird choice. I'm sure they've playtested it a bunch more, right, than I have. Obviously, I haven't played with any buffed or nerf stuff, but it is odd to buff Rise by making his best shard better instead of anything else. I did not like that very much, because it's already pretty swingy, like whether or not you hit Shard of Reverence in the first two, and now it's even more swingy, which I don't like. That's what you need versus aggro. Yeah, but like versus everything else you pick draw. Not if you already have draw in your hand, then you just pick spell mana, right? If you have like Drum Solo and a Deep Med, which is pretty common, then you're just like, oh, I'll just pick spell mana, because you're gonna cycle through anyway. But now you want to pick Shard of Reverence even more? Sure. Also, spending the third spell mana is not super easy. Like, obviously this is a buff, right? But like, you usually only spend the 2. Big buff. Sure. I do like that it's a buff to Rise, because obviously I like to play Rise. I do like that I get more spell mana because I like to cast spells. This is not the way I would have gone about it. I'm going to go into it with an open mind, though. But what I really wanted to see was I wanted to see Rise have an on-play ability where he activates a rune. That's what I wanted to see. I think that would have been like a really nice buff. I think that would be really cool. Do I agree with most people that it would absolutely suck if Rise was tier 1? Yes. Yeah. Yep. There are quite a few things that I do not ever want to be tier 1. My 2 big picks were like Bandletree back then, and then Katarina, and then they made Katarina tier 1, and it was miserable. So yeah, Rise, you do not want to be tier 1. You don't want Rise to be the best deck ever. It would suck so much, and I love Rise. Shadow Sift goes from 3 cost to 2 cost, which is like cool, I guess. I don't know. I guess. Like, what do you play this in? It is like bounce. It is bounce your own unit, make a 3/2 ephemeral, which is, I don't know, cool, but with a Yi, you play it with a Yi. Why? Like, I really like the Gruesome Theater's ability to bounce my opponent's stuff. The Kennen card? I don't think so. Because, like, when you're bouncing Kennen, you're bouncing, like, in combat, right? So you want either recall or retreat return, because it's more efficient, or homecoming. And then, if you're, like, otherwise you want Gruesome Theater, which bounces your opponent's stuff. But as 2 meta decks will be Listelia and Jax Orn having a bunch of freezes. Versus freezes, very good. Yeah, I mean, okay, very good is, I think, a huge stretch. But, like, okay, sure. It's just a Zed buff. I don't even want to run this in a Zed deck, man. I don't know. I'm not sold. I'm not sold. Maybe I'm just not seeing it. Maybe someone will play it and I'll be like, damn, that's fucking good. But I feel like most of the time, someone will play it and I'll be like, oh. It's over 9,000. Okay. Dr. Shabu, thank you for the 11 months. One more for the big year. This patch seems interesting. Yeah, these are a lot of these. Like, so normally when I see the balance patch, I'm like, hell yeah, this is what I would choose. There's a lot of these that I'm seeing that I'm like, what? Really? Okay, Hate Spike now does 3 damage. I kind of like this. Hate Spike, I find, is a really interesting card. I think Hate Spike is a great card for the game. It's removal that is interactable, like that comes with a cost. Love this kind of card. 2 mana, 2 damage Hate Spike was not good enough. 1 mana, 2 damage Hate Spike was way too good. So let's see if we hit the Goldilocks zone on 2 mana, 3 damage Hate Spike, and then it'll be good. It is buffed for the Nora Shadow Isles control decks. Absolutely. Like, that's the deck that wants it the most. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Is Ari ever going to enter the meta with Hate Spike running around? Well, I'm sure there's an Ari buff somewhere in this patch, right, guys? Right? Right? Please? Master Yi goes from I've dealt 12 plus damage to allied Master Yis have done 12 plus damage. This is a good buff. This is actually a really, really good buff. I'm probably going to, they're next to the Akshan buffs. I'm probably going to play a decent amount of Master Yi in the future, which is kind of weird to say, but this is like pretty good. Yi decks tend to not be super fast. And it's pretty easy to like do 6 damage, right? So hitting with 2 separate Yis, a lot easier. It's just a nice little buff. I'm pretty happy with this one. I like this one a lot. Ever the Eternal Student, we decided that Yi should keep his knowledge and level up progression from his previous lives. He historically had trouble leveling up. This should make it more feasible. Hell yeah. Maokai goes to a 2/4. Sure. Whatever. Biggest buff to Maokai is that you can't Quietus him anymore. So there's that. Also, Victor can't be Quietus. Yi can't be Quietus, right? All those things. That's like the Quietus nerf is probably it's one of like the 3 biggest changes of the entire patch. So yeah, patch notes missed the Kayn and Aatrox nerfs entirely. Okay, I'll mention them. So the Kayn and did they really like not say it? Because I saw it on Twitter. Spoiler alert: these are all the changes. Okay, so Kayn now needs 4 cultists to draw, and Aatrox needs 3 separate Darkens. That's correct, right? That's what it is. So no longer just playing like the same weapon over and over. Okay, those are huge changes, but that's really nice because like Kayn on 5 was guaranteed, and drawing Aatrox by cycling the same weapon was pretty simple. Now it's much more difficult, which is what should happen, I think. I like that there's a super big payoff to doing these things. I think it was just way too easy before. Okay, so Shyvana's level up used to be I've seen dragon allies deal 12 plus damage, and now her level up is dragons have dealt 16 plus damage. This is a fantastic buff because, like they mentioned here, Shyvana felt like booty cheeks to draw later in the game. Just miserable. Shyvana on 4 on curve was nutter butters. Shyvana any later in the game was terrible. So now that should be fixed a little bit, which is nice because leveled Shyvana, excuse me, leveled Shyvana is really good. Leveled Shyvana is really, I feel like people forgot. Leveled Shyvana is really, really good. She attacks for 6 million. She gives bleeding straight. Wait, did they buff her again? It's a second buff? Her Strafing Strike also only costs 2? Oh, damn. Damn. That's really good. Wow, huge buffs to Shyvana. That's nice. I like Shyvana. I think like the dragon stuff is pretty cool. It's usually not my thing, but I'm happy they did this. That's nice. That's good. You remember when Screeching Dragon was really good in this game? Those were the days. Tristana went from just quick attack to now she has 1 impact on both level 1 and level 2. That's nice. That's all I have to say about that. I've been absolutely blasted by Tristana before. And now it might happen even more. So there's that. This Lysandra buff I think is really cool. So it goes from when I'm summoned, summon a Frozen Thrall. When I'm summoned, summon a Frozen Thrall and advance it too. This is nice because like if you're not playing Turbo Thralls, you never flip it, right? The only problem is this makes Turbo Thralls better, and I hate Turbo Thralls. I hate Turbo Thralls. So good buff for Lysandra, because I think Lysandra is really cool. I like Lysandra as a card a lot. I just hate Turbo Thralls with like such passion. Such fiery passion. Yeah, and then of course the is this tempo joke. So cool buff for Lysandra, boo for Turbo Thralls. That's my thought on that. Say she's cold, not cool. Okay, Kayle. We have Kayle buffs. Kayle goes from 6 to 5 cost. Hell yeah. 6 cost Kayle felt miserable. 5 cost Kayle will feel a lot better. She also buffs herself. Like she goes down 1 power in 1 health, but effectively she only goes down 1 health. This is like double good because she'll count herself even if you've never triggered anything, which shouldn't happen very much. But yeah, now she buffs herself as well. So she basically goes down 1 mana cost in exchange for 1 point of health, and that is pretty worth it in my opinion. Definitely gonna try out some Kayle stuff, and then certainly they'll buff Fangs as well, right? It's time to bring Fangs back, right? I'm sure that'll be somewhere in here. And then yeah, this has got to be tempo. It's much more tempo than playing 6 mana Kayle, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm stoked to do some of this nonsense here. Some Zoe Kayle stuff probably. This one's interesting. I'm sure a lot of people have opinions on this. So they said Lucian has only seen sporadic play for quite some time. That's true. He sucks. We are hoping a shift down the curb and a corresponding stat drop will create some exciting opportunities for him. Yeah, so now he's a 1-mana 2/1 quick attack instead of a 2-mana 3/2 quick attack. I don't know. I don't know about this one. Like, it looks bad on the surface, right? Like, he dies to all the pings and everything, but a 1-mana 2/1 quick attack is really good on turn 1. I guess. I don't know. What do you guys think about this one? It looks bad, but we'll see. So, 1-mana 2/2 would have been better. Oh my god, could you imagine playing against a 1-mana 2/2 quick attack that rallies? Hell no. Hell no. Get that shit out of my face. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Sure. We'll see. This is cool. Albus Pharos, actually one of my favorite followers in the entire game. But he was bad. Albus was very alarmed to no longer be included in his employees' deck. Something had to be done. Albus now starts dealing 3 damage to the enemy Nexus, not just 1. So Albus Pharos on attack will on average do probably 5 damage. Which is sick. Yeah, Pharos is going to just blast people. I really like Pharos. I think he's sick, right? Because you play him in a Jace deck, which copies 6 drops sometimes. You know, like, you could just play a copy or 2 in Jace Donger. I always like to sneak a copy in there when I could. Now he's spooky. This is a lot of damage. Oh, yikes. Oh, all right, cool. Good change. Like this change. Maybe I'll hate it in a second. I don't know. We'll find out. I don't have a lot of good takes on a lot of these cards because a lot of the changes are so weird. Weight of Judgment goes from a 4 cost to a 3 cost instead of dealing 2 to a champion or 7 to a follower, and now does 2 to a champion or 4 to a follower. Shreem has always had decent follower removal. This change increases the general utility of the card while sacrificing its use as an emergency button. Yeah, this is interesting. So the thing I used Weight of Judgment the most for was when I played Shurima Tailstones in my deck and I would kill Swain's Boat. Yeah, I think it's Tailstone's buff. Like 3 mana makes it much more playable. I still don't think I want to play it in my main decks, but with a card that's coming out, maybe we'll see some more kind of Shurima control decks with like Nasus, right? Maybe Jay Sensational finally gets his Nasus like zillion control deck that he tries every single season. We'll see. We'll see. Moving down, Dragon Caller goes from a 6 cost to a 5 cost. This card was like pretty turbo bad at 6 mana. At 5 mana, there might be something here. I don't know. I'm not saying there's gonna be something here, but it feels pretty good. Pretty good buff. You don't know what deck to put it in? Zoe Yi, baby. Zoe Yi all day long. Empyrean is a 6/5 elusive. Yeah. So you run Eye of the Dragon, you run Dragon Caller, you run 3 Wuju styles, you know, all that kind of stuff. You could run it in Victor Yi if you wanted. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah. Zoe Yi sometimes had trouble closing the game out. So you would have to play the Celestial Trifecta card to get like Great Beyond and kill people. So if you didn't have like a Zoe flip, it could be tough sometimes. Now you have something that maybe actually kills people. Excited about it. Let's try some nerfs. Nerfs! Good. Suck it, Jinx. Rocket now only deals 3 to the enemy Nexus instead of 4. That's good because Jinx was doing like the dumbest amount of damage. Even if you could remove her on the spot, she was like caustic rifting your board and 7ing you. Or like get excited into Death Rocket. It's just not okay. So she's still really good though. Still really good, but I'm very happy to see a nerf. Portal Cannon goes up to 1 mana. Yeah, I know Ikeda's probably upset, but this is fine. The card was really, really good. Portal Cannon has been a staple in like a lot of decks for a really long time. Not mad to see it go up to 1 mana. I would like to avoid 0 mana cards in the future if we could. I think 0 mana cards tend to be a little too good sometimes. So yeah, maybe we stay away from those. Quietus was intended to efficiently shut down inexpensive units, but also took out many low attack, high health champions as collateral damage. Yeah, so it's like the one that I really don't like. Posture check. Okay, the one that I really don't like about this change is that I can't kill Vhagar anymore. That's annoying. But basically, what it does now is it kills a unit with total health and power 4 less, or destroys the unit's equipment. So like a 2/2, a 3/1, a 1/3, basically it. It does not kill Legion Rearguard, which sucks. It does not kill Vhagar, which sucks. And it basically doesn't kill any of the champions that cost like 2 or more mana. So, is it still okay? Yeah, it is. But it's not like insane like it was before. It's more like a tool instead of like a really important part. It's more of a role player now. Before it was like a really important like key piece of the Shadow Isles removal strategy. But now it's a bit more of a role player stuff. It does kill 3/1s, so that's sick. I have now Kaboros goes from burst speed to focus speed. That's good, because this card was way too good for a while for every deck. So good nerf. Rise nerf? Yeah, I was always playing 1, so I'm not super. Katarina nerf. Good. All my homies hate Katarina. Katarina has been so insane for quite a while. And now she's gone from a 3/2 down to a 2/2, so she gets killed by Quietus. And then she goes from a 4/3 down to a 3/3. Now, this is not going to keep her out of the game. If you want to play Katarina decks, you absolutely still can. Not much has changed. Yeah, especially like the Red Gwen style decks. The 1 point of power is not a huge deal. It will matter more when your deck is not doing its thing. But other than that, Katarina is still fine. If you want to play Katarina, you still can. And I'm okay with that. But she was like way too good. Way too good. 2 new cards are coming in. We didn't know this, so that's really exciting. Saw a lot of people very excited about this on Twitter. Soul Cleave. 3 mana slow spell, Shadow Isles. Kill an ally to summon 2 ephemeral copies of it. I can feel Sunny going nuts right now. I can feel it. I can feel the YouTube videos. Sick ass card. Really cool card. Do I think it's super good? I don't know. Probably not. Do I think it's super cool? Yes. Yes, I do. I do think it's. It is memey. Like, it's a slow spell. It's a 3 mana slow spell that needs your guy to stay alive. And so if you cast your guy and then you cast the thing and then I bounce your guy or kill your guy or something, you're going to be not very happy. So there's that. Yeah, you could put it on Anivia, but then you have to play Anivia. So that's not going to do much for you. Sick ass card though. Very excited to see what people do with this. There will be something that like people use this on and I'll be like, damn, that's badass. But I don't think this is gonna be like a tier 1 card or anything. But yeah, I'm excited about this one. I love cards like this. Cards you get to do super cool stuff that are interesting. Banger, dude. Banger. 10 out of 10. Castigate. 7 mana Shurima. Slow. Kill all followers. Sure. Tired of your champions getting blocked by those pesky followers? No more. Yeah, that was not expected. Did anyone else expect Shurima to get a card like this? Because I sure as hell didn't. This is going to blow me out a few times. Yep, this is the card that I meant, that Jay Sensational is going to put in a zillion Nasus deck. He's going to run a bunch of Castigates, and it's going to blow people out of the water. Pretty cool card, honestly. Pretty cool card. Like, this card sucks. Does it suck? Does it suck? Maybe. Maybe not. Who knows? Just like Vengeance their chance, bro. It's easy. Easy peasy. Yeah, you're not going to start slamming 3 of in any deck for sure. But you will you will lose to this sometimes when it's randomly generated off things. Yeah, you could run it in like Sundisk if you want to. I don't know. But interesting to see more Wrath style effects. We don't have too many in the game. It's basically just like Ruination buried in ice, and then a couple that are like more expensive, like too expensive for most decks to play. So yeah, pretty interesting card. Some Path of Champions stuff that I'm not going to go over because I don't play Path of Champions. And that is basically it. That is the patch. It's an impactful patch, but a lot of the changes I'm a little skeptical on. I'm not sure about it. Opinion on Zero Nerf to FTR and Ramp in general? Yeah, I mean, whatever. I don't know, man. Buffing Ionia is nerfing FTR. But there's not a lot. Also, buffing Turbo Thralls is nerfing FTR. So, whatever. We'll see. Yeah, I'm excited to see it. Comes out tomorrow. I get to try some Kale. I get to try some stuff. Not a lot of Ionia buffs that look super impactful. Or Targon buffs, which makes me sad. I think Targon just got Kale, which is upsetting. But that's okay. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, that's all I got. Thank you, YouTube peeps, for coming by. See you next time.